If you want to dominate your fights and place better in tournaments, then I'm going to tell you the 7 fundamentals that, if applied correctly, will help you instantly improve at Fortnite. If you follow not just 3 or 4, but all 7, then you are going to improve so fast. So make sure to watch the full video, and at the end of the video, I'll break down the one thing that most players get wrong that if you fix today, you'll see instant improvement. But real quick, if you're trying to improve in competitive Fortnite, you need to be using Snap-in. It's a full improvement system with a 24/7 AI Fortnite coach trained on pro strategies and advice from top coaches, so you get personalized pro level advice instantly. It also builds personalized routines based on your weaknesses and includes a full progression tracking system, a weakness tracker, tournament journal, goal setting system, and it's all synced directly to your coach. And you can even create custom game plans for tournaments. If you want to improve way faster, click the link in the description and get Snap-in. But first, let's go over a strategy that pros do and that you have probably never heard of. And not only is this going to help you become a better fighter, but it's also going to make you way more confident, which is something that holds a lot of competitive players back. This is the W key in ranked, but most importantly, W key with 100% confidence. You want to play ranked and W key everyone, but when you go into each game, go into that game telling yourself that you are the best player in that lobby and it's not even close. Literally go into the game thinking you're Peterbot, and after doing this, you'll notice that you actually play better just because you have confidence in yourself and in your ability to fight. So many people are scared to fight in tournaments because they already think they're going to lose before they even get into a fight, and this is only going to make winning that fight a lot harder. Have you ever wondered how Peterbot became the best fighter in the world and had everyone on NA scared of him? Well, obviously a part of it is just his insane fighting ability, but a big part of it is his confidence. He is the most confident player in the game, and it shows as he can pull off insane solo clutches in the biggest Fortnite tournaments of the world. And this rank strategy is also going to help increase your confidence whilst improving your fighting at the same time as you're getting into lots of fights against lots of different playstyles. But something you cannot forget about is the most important skill in Fortnite, the one that if you work on improving and understanding, you'll become such a better fighter, and this is awareness, because having good awareness helps you control fights, predict opponents, and be able to spot mistakes easier to finish fights quicker. So how do you get good awareness? Well, improving your awareness in Fortnite is less about a single drill or map and more about shifting the way you fight. First, you want to make sure your opponent is on your screen at all times. As long as they're on your screen at all times, you'll always know what they're doing, and trust me, you will get so many opportunities just handed to you just by having good awareness. If you lose sight of your enemy for even just 2 seconds, that can lose you the fight. It is a single skill that can carry fights and is by far the most underlooked aspect of fighting in Fortnite, in my opinion. And if you don't already, make sure you have visual sound effects turned on. Every pro uses this setting for a reason. Just turning this one setting on will improve your awareness if you don't have it on already. And speaking of something pros do, the next tip is something that every pro realize at some point, and it's part of what helped them take that leap from just an average competitive player to a player who constantly qualifies to tournaments and wins most of their fights. The rule is to increase the time you spend playing scrims and VOD reviewing, because pros know that in order to actually go pro, the problem in almost 100% of people is that they don't know how to properly play a competitive game. Having good mechanics is just a starting point to going pro, and most people already have good enough mechanics. So what you need to work on is your game sense and how to play end games, how to win every off spawn, how to play Storm in a mid game, or even how to avoid fights in the mid game, because a lot of beginner competitive players can't even do this. And it's not because you're extremely bad, it's simply because you need to spend more time playing scrims and VOD reviewing, both watching back your scrim games as well as watching back pros games games and looking at how they play, then you can start replicating what the pros do in your own games. Like if you VOD reviewed properly this season or just VOD reviewed enough, then you'll probably know that playing Storm in solos is a meta this season, and that pros always stay on the side of zone when playing lower layers, and being even more specific, they stay to the left side of zone because that gives them a right hand peek when fighting other people on their layer, and it makes it so they don't have to rotate through the middle of zone like most people, which means they don't have to rotate through the whole lobby. And an example is what Mongrel did to improve so much in the last few weeks. He just spent tons of hours VOD reviewing and learning from pros, as well as fixing his weaknesses and mistakes he makes in tournaments. And the next point in this video is using a routine that focuses on your weaknesses, because let's be honest for a second, if you don't fix your weaknesses, you're just going to end up repeating the same mistakes over and over again. So just following the same routine every day for weeks is just going to keep you stuck for longer. The longer you keep on doing the same things, the longer you're going to be waiting to improve as fast as you genuinely want to. And that's why you need to do these simple steps. First is play every tournament you can, then watch back your games and look at how you died, then track each way you died, and these are your weaknesses. If you track them, you'll know exactly what weaknesses you need to focus on, and then change your routine to fix these weaknesses. Now, like I said earlier, snapping does most of this for you and helps you track your weaknesses and build personalized routines that actually work and that are based on your weaknesses. So if you're unsure of how to make a good routine that actually works and is based on your weaknesses, then I recommend going to snapping.gg. But now let me quickly go over how to watch back your games, and I'll tell you exactly how in under 60 seconds. First, you want to watch back your games from tournaments or scrims, or if you're new to the game, then you can also watch back your ranked games to improve your fighting mistakes. Then for ranked games, you want to watch back each fight on slow motion to make it as easy as possible to spot how you died. And for scrims or tournaments, you're gonna want to watch pretty much the whole game, but you can put the parts when nothing happens on 4x speed. And the reason you don't want to skip to how you died most of the time is because in tournament style games, your mid game or your off spawn could be the reason you died in the end game. Like if you lost off spawn and went into the end game with no mats or even no shotgun, just as an example, then that's where you made the big mistake. In tournament games, sometimes there's a deeper meaning to how you died. Now let's go over something else that pros do that you probably don't, and if you actually do this, you can see pretty much instant improvement. This is to do 1v1s against good players, and I'm not going to talk to you much about why you want to do this because most of you probably already know why, so I'll just talk about how to actually do this and how to find good players. But if I was to break down why this is so important in just one sentence, I would say that if you don't 1v1 players who punish you for your mistakes, which are good players, then you'll make more mistakes in real games, which is going to lose you fights and is going to lose you games and is going to lose you tournaments. Now, how do you actually find good players to 1v1? Well, the first way is by following a bunch of people who are likely to say yes to you 1v1ing them on Twitter, or as it's called now, on X. Maybe people with under a few thousand followers, but who you know are slightly better than you. Then just DM them and ask if they're down to 1v1, or you can look on scrim discords for people to 1v1. And the better the scrim discords you're in, the easier it's going to be to find good players, but usually you'll be able to find people to 1v1 who are better than you in your current scrim discord. And for EU, the best one to join is Noble Practice Scrims, and for NA, I used to say Manu Scrims, so you can try that one, but to be honest, I'm not sure recently as I haven't looked into it and I'm not from NA. So if you're from NA, try out Manu Scrims, and if you don't think it's good, then just look around and do your own research on the best scrim discords for your region. Now let's go over something that most players get wrong, and is the reason they lose a lot of their fights. So if you watch this full section, you'll already be ahead of most players. So what is peak selection? Well, here there's two different peaks that people can do and people do in fights. But one peak is a peak that pros do more, and one peak is a peak that beginner players do more, and it's probably the peak you're not expecting, because this peak right here is called a peanut butter peak, and this is the peak most beginner players do, right? In fact, even intermediate players, they always do this peak and then do that and reset. But let's say the enemy is here and you do this peak. Even if you do the peak as fast as possible and reset, the enemy is still going to be able to get a shot off on you if they're even somewhat good at the game. But with this peak, this is actually the better peak, and the peak pros do more. But they don't just sit here, obviously, because that makes the peak worse. What they do is they make this peak and use their movement to make the peak fully protected and then go for a shot or something like that. And doing this, well, quite literally makes it impossible for the enemies to hit you because they can't see you when you're behind a cone like this. And that's what peak selection is, making the right peak for the right situation. Now let's change this. Let's say you drop down on their wall. Here, obviously, this peak is now not going to be optimal because this gives them a free shot and you can't even hit them. Here, they'll be able to hit your toes or your legs and you won't be able to hit them at all. So if someone dropped on your wall, then you could do this edit. But if we're being even more optimal, you'd want to do this edit, crouch, and do that. But let's say you're the person dropping on their wall. Instead, what you can do is you can either do this and try to get a shot off, or you can now do the peanut butter peak and then go like that, because now that's going to make it a lot harder to be hit compared to if you were just on a cone doing this, or even this as well. So keep this in mind in your fights and always make the right peak for the right situation depending on where you are and where your enemy is. Now if you want to learn more about how you can improve, then watch this video on screen. But before you go, make sure to like and subscribe and check out Snap In using the link in the description.